Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. We're going to be starting on a brand new series on portrait painting. And this is going to be kind of a long series. It's going to be 10 parts because it took me quite a while to do this portrait. And I wanted to show you exactly how you do one from start to finish. So if I was doing this traditionally, these would be the brushes that I would use, and I would use acrylic because I don't really like oils because they take too long to dry, but these brushes would also work with oil paints as well. So if you want to use oils, you can. It will take you a lot longer using these techniques, but this can be done in oils as well. I like to use canvas board. You can also use gallery wrapped canvases. The gallery wrapped canvases have the canvas all the way around on the frame, and you don't have to frame those. You can just paint on the edges of the canvas. And so sometimes I like to use those as well. But if you use canvas board, you'll have to frame your painting. And here are the paint colors that I use. These are going to vary by brand. I like to use Grumbacher Academy acrylics, but you can, I also like to use Liquitex, but you can just use whichever brand that you prefer the most. And the app that we're going to be using is Corel Painter 2020, and this is a Windows app. And it has a lot of brushes and a lot of features and functions in it. But it does give you a realistic look as well, a sort of a natural media look. And it has lots of acrylic brushes and oil paints and things like that in it. And I thought that I would test it because it has just come out recently, the 2020 version of this one. And I also have a new Surface tablet, and it works a lot better than my Surface Pro 3. I have a Surface Pro 5 now, and it just runs this program a lot better. And so I wanted to do a musician. I just like to do musicians. My family has a lot of musicians in it. I'm not a musician, but I do like to do paintings of musicians and musical instruments. So I went to Pixabay and I found a really good pose there. And Pixabay.com has royalty-free photographs that you can use for references. And so I found this musician and I really liked his pose and the clothes, and it's sort of a formal portrait look, so I wanted to go ahead and use this photo reference. And I did click on this musician's gallery and found out that his name is J.D. Hank, and he's a professional guitarist and songwriter. And so I will leave his website link in the information down below if you want to check out his music. He's a really good guitar player. And so I just wanted to go ahead and start doing the sketch on him. And I've got the pencil, the HB pencil in Corel Painter that I'm using. And you'd probably use kind of a 16 by 20 inch size for your canvas. And if you're doing this traditionally, you might want to go ahead and do this drawing on another piece of paper first and then transfer it over later with some carbon paper or something onto your canvas, because you'll probably be doing a lot of erasing and you kind of want to get it pretty well detailed before you put it on your canvas. And it's hard to draw details on really kind of rough canvas. If you do a canvas board, it's pretty rough canvas, so it's hard to do details. So you want to kind of get this drawn first. And so here I'm just kind of sketching in the details, trying to get the shape of his face and his hat and the guitar, and just kind of trying to get the proportions correct. And so I've got it sort of zoomed out, and the photo reference almost the same size there, and that really helps when you're doing that. And you can print the picture out if you're doing this traditionally, and you know, blow the size up so that you can get it close to the size of the picture that you're drawing. And what I've also done is I've taken the picture that I had on Pixabay and lightened the exposure so that I can see more details in the shadows there. So the light wasn't quite that bright on the original photo, but I've exposed it, overexposed it, so that I can see details on his face and on the guitar and on his hands and things. So I'm just kind of making a sketch on a separate layer, and you're going to want to keep this sketch on a separate layer so that you can kind of have a reference point to what it originally looked like, because when you start adding paint, you're going to kind of lose your place and your original drawing there. And here I'm just trying to do the face, and the head is going to be an egg shape, and then the eyes usually come about halfway down the egg shape, and then the nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin, and then you want to go ahead and make the mouth halfway between the nose and the chin. So that's kind of the general proportions of a human face. So you just kind of make these guidelines, and you want to make sure that your eyes line up and your nose and your mouth are all at the same angle. And he's got his head at kind of an angle, so we want to keep all that in line there, or else it won't look right. You'll have one eye higher than the other, and that will really mess your portrait up. Also, the ear is going to come down to the bottom of the nose usually. That's the length of the ear, and to the top of the eyebrows. That's sort of a general measurement of how an ear will be. And the width of the nose is going to be kind of lined up with the corners of the eyes. And the mouth is going to be, the ends of the mouth are going to kind of line up with halfway through the eyes. Those are just kind of some of the general measurements of portrait painting. And so I'm just kind of trying to get that down right there, and working a little bit on the jawline and the eyes, and making sure that I keep them on the same line, on the same plane there, so that they don't get one higher than the other, because that just won't look right. And also working on the mouth. He's got a really thin mouth, so I want to work on that. And then I'm just kind of working on the shape of the face, broadening out the face just a little bit, and working on the ear here, just trying to get the general shape. And I've got the photo reference zoomed in there, so I can kind of get an idea of what I'm trying to, the shape of his face, what I'm trying to get there. And you can see that I'm doing a lot of erasing, so you might want to make a rough sketch and then take some tracing paper and make more refined lines if you're doing this traditionally, and just keep doing that, or use a light box or something to trace over your first shape, and just kind of make it a little bit more refined. If you don't want to keep erasing, you can use tracing paper to get the shape, kind of like animators will do, or professional illustrators will do that as well. And so here I'm just kind of working on the shape of his hat, trying to get the crown just right, the slant on it, and just kind of working around on the edges and trying to get the hat band shape. Also the way that the brim bends on the hat. And this is what you have to do to just kind of keep trying to get more and more refined. And you want to try to get a fairly accurate drawing for this, because this is a portrait painting and you need a good foundation. You need to have a good drawing and a good foundation when you do your portrait painting. And also here on the neck, and I want to mention one thing on the neck. A lot of people will make their necks too thin in their portraits, and that may mess up an otherwise really good portrait. And you have to remember that the back of the neck goes behind the ears. It goes all the way up to the ears. So you kind of need to draw that whenever you're drawing the face. Make sure that the back of the neck goes behind the ears so that you don't have a real skinny neck and it doesn't look right. And I notice that a lot of people don't understand that principle, and so they'll have a really pretty drawing, but the neck is too skinny. So keep that in mind when you're working on their neck. And here I'm just kind of working a little bit more on his jawline and his face there, trying to widen that out just a little bit more, and working on the eyes, trying to make sure that they're on the same plane. And here's a little trick that I do. You can trace over the photograph and get the lines, the look of the lines there, and then you'll be able to see how the lines go, a line drawing, and just kind of use it for your reference. If you want to, you can just grab the line, just trace over it and start with that as your drawing. That gives it a lot quicker start. But if you want to practice your drawing skills, then you can do it this way. Just get the outline of it and see how the lines go, and it's easier to see then and to kind of copy as a drawing when you can see the lines. It cuts down on the distractions and things. And like I said, if you want to go ahead and just grab the outline of it and use that for your basis, you can. It'll help you a little, but not a whole lot, because if you're doing a real portrait and you're not just doing a cartoon look, then you have to add all the shading and all the three-dimensional look. So, I mean, that'll help a little bit and give you a jump start on it, but it won't help you make it look like a real portrait, because if you just copy the lines and then just fill in flat color, you're just going to end up with kind of a flat looking image. So you have to learn to do the shadows, the three-dimensional look, all of it. You just kind of have to, there is no shortcuts, really. I'm sorry, everybody. I'd like to tell you there's a magic way to do portraits and it's easy, and there's some fancy shortcuts and stuff, but there's just not. I mean, it's just hard work. You just have to keep looking at it and sketching it and refining till you finally get the image close to looking like the person. It's just kind of a lot of hard work. Portraits are just not that easy, but they're a lot of fun, and they really stretch you as an artist if you try them. And I would urge everybody to try them, even if it doesn't look right, the first time. Just keep on trying. It will stretch you as an artist, and after a while you'll get better at it. So, don't give up if it doesn't come out right the first time. Just keep on trying. And so I'm just kind of working on the eyes. I made them a little bit smaller. I haven't really drawn in the glasses because I always put the glasses on last, because you want to try to get what's underneath there first and accurate, and then add the glasses on later. So I'm just trying to kind of get the general shape here and just kind of comparing it. And when you zoom out, it's kind of comparable to stepping back away from your canvas. And you definitely need to step back from your drawing or your canvas and look at it from a distance to see how it looks there, and that will help you. And so here I'm just kind of working on the vest and the shoulder a little bit more, trying to get the look of it. And just working on the eyes, trying to make sure that they're straight. Keep them straight. You don't want them to get all wonky, and So you always constantly have to do that. And then here I wanted to go ahead and save it and constantly save. Corel Painter seems to be pretty stable, but occasionally it crashes, so you definitely want to save as much as possible. So this is the end of part 1 of my Corel Painter series. And in part 2, I'm going to go ahead and add the color. So if you're interested in that, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below. Thanks everybody for watching, and thank you for your support. And I will catch you later.